This is Akashvani. In the program Insights, now we bring you a discussion on rising air pollution and ways to curb it. The participants are Mukul Sanwal, environmentalist, and Rajesh Lake, anchor.
Mukul, air pollution is a critical issue in Delhi. So, what is the current air quality index, AQI, in Delhi, and what does it indicate regarding air pollution levels?
See, in Delhi yesterday, the PM 2.5 level went up to 346 in some areas. Now the WHO standard is 15 and the national is 60. Why is this important? This is important because air pollution basically constitutes of primary and secondary factors. There is particulate matter, PM 2.5, which enters the bloodstream. It causes irritation, heart attacks, cough, sneezing, even lung cancer. So that is generally considered to be the standard to look at public reaction, public impact, and as a proxy for air pollution. Then there is the air quality index, which consists of 5 major pollutants, that is gaseous and particulate matter, ozone, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxide, for example. The third factor is that some of these gases also react in sunlight in a photochemical reaction and produce the smog that we see in cold winter days in the morning. So essentially, for the layman, the issue is particulate matter and this chemical reaction that takes place of smog early in the morning. Haze, particulate matter, smog, ground level ozone in the morning, both causing problems. Now, what has happened in Delhi is that the meteorological conditions of Delhi have led to a chronic problem, recurring problem of air pollution in winter. For example, you have Delhi in a bowl. You have the Aravallis on one side, the Himalayas on the other side, and the particulate matter or even gases that are emitted in Delhi tend to stay in Delhi because of this, the meteorological and geographical conditions, adding to the pollution load. In addition, you have the forest fires, now primarily in Punjab. Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, very limited so far. Punjab, almost 7 to 8 times, 10 times more than in Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. What this results in is that the entire Indo-Gangetic plain, all the way to Calcutta, from Punjab, Udhampur to Calcutta, is really a very heavily polluted airshed. It has 40% of the population and 17 times particulate matter load as of the recommendation of the WHO. And it has increased almost 60% in the last 5 years. So basically, as development has taken place, urbanization and its offshoots, which I will come to later in great detail, the pollution level is increasing. Now, for this kind of situation, you do not need a city-level plan, you need a wider plan. Why is this city-level planning or city-level targets important? Here you come across the situation that is taking place in Mumbai today. Essentially, Mumbai has become a massive redevelopment zone. There are something like 6,000 construction sites at this point of time, and the ongoing construction is 5 times Nariman Point, and the sanctioned construction is 15 times the area of Nariman Point. What happened is that as part of COVID facilities, the premium municipal corporation charged for construction, for redevelopment, was halved. It has led to a massive redevelopment of Mumbai to the extent that the sea breeze that used to dilute the local vehicular pollution, most of it is local pollution is vehicular, is no longer able to do so, and Mumbai PM2.5 levels reach those of Delhi. At the same time, when we look at the international scene, today we find that Jakarta is the most heavily polluted, air polluted city in the world. Now, Jakarta has 10 coal-fired power plants in its vicinity. In July, New York experienced haze, that is particulate matter pollution, something like 2 times that of Delhi because of forest fires. The point I want to make is that there are certain circumstantial or geographical meteorological factors that lead to air pollution, and they need to be taken into account because there is little we can do about them. And then there are these local factors, of which building construction has been very important in the past. In Delhi, Most of our air pollution in the last 10 years came from building construction, Asiad and other factors. Gurgaon, the NCR. Mumbai is facing that situation today.
Mukul, you mentioned about the primary sources of air pollution in Delhi being vehicular emissions, industrial pollution, construction and agricultural practices. What measures and policies have the government of Delhi particularly taken to control air pollution and how effective they have been? Are there any new or innovative strategies being considered to address this problem?
See, as I said, when the construction boom was taking place in Delhi, pollution levels were high. The national government introduced compressed natural gas here. Almost the entire cooking that was done on coal fires or twigs or things has been replaced with gas cylinders. It is a huge impact because not only does it mean that the health of the poor who were using that fuel for their cooking has improved, but the overall situation has improved as well. The national and state governments are zeroing in on construction-related pollution. Mumbai has gone to the extent of having 35 feet tall barricades to control this. Delhi has started this earlier, and green cloth, sprinkling, and material being transported has to be covered. But the key factor that is changing the situation in Delhi is vehicular pollution, the control over vehicular pollution. There is a push towards CNG earlier and now towards electric vehicles. One can argue that the number is still low, but the government wants to phase out diesel vehicles first because they contribute more to particulate matter and ultimately the internal combustion engine itself from Delhi.
Mukul, what steps have been taken to control vehicular emissions? You mentioned...
Yes, the government has said that after 2030, new internal combustion, new diesel vehicles will not be registered in Delhi. You will recall that some time back, old vehicles, which were 15 years old in Delhi, irrespective of their condition, had to be scrapped. It was a huge move. And most of the people who scrapped those vehicles went into electric vehicles. They did not go for diesel vehicles, which are the most heavily polluting because the price of diesel has increased to that of petrol, which is a factor which is not recognized because this is not something that has been taking place in other parts of the world where diesel was not so heavily subsidized by vis-a-vis petrol. Now diesel and petrol prices are almost similar. So the incentive to go for the diesel vehicle has been reduced. This is not something that has been recognized at the international level also because they are not looking for it. They don't have that situation back home. And electric vehicle charging points are being pushed in a very heavy way by the state and by the national government. And people who are replacing their old vehicles which are older than 15 years are switching to electric vehicles. Most of your running is within the city. The electric vehicle makes sense today. If you go out, you may need to have charging stations, and that is increasing in a very big way. And in line with this, again, something which is linked with industrial policy, but not with the air pollution policy, is the incentives the government is giving car manufacturers to switch from the internal combustion engine to electric vehicles, new battery technology. Tata Nexon is competing with the Chinese and the Korean model. The pure industrial combustion engine is not going to be something that is going to continue forever, but is not recognized as an anti-pollution measure, is recognized as an industrial policy measure.
And how are the industries in Delhi regulated to minimize their environmental impact and reduce air pollution emissions? Are there penalties or incentives for industries based on their environmental compliance?
See, the government set up a scientific technical committee with extensive powers to look into and monitor, control, and determine policies for air pollution in Delhi. One big outcome of this has been that crackers have been banned in Delhi. And despite the political lobbying, despite them approaching the Supreme Court, because the scientific committee had laid down these guidelines well in time, on scientific criteria, the policy has passed. Earlier, this was not happening because policy was not based on science. Now it is based on science. Secondly, they have a graded plan. If pollution levels increase above a certain level, certain activities, designated activities have to be curtailed. People know about this. You switch, you stop construction, you regulate construction, you regulate vehicular movement, and then at the same time, you increase the frequency of the metros. Again, because this is not presented as a package, these are presented as individual measures. We are not able to link them and realize their importance in controlling air pollution.
Correct.
Mumbai is going in for metros, extending the metros. Karnataka, Bangalore is talking about the metros. Lucknow is talking about the metro. All because the metro was pushed by the government of India in Delhi. It has shown its value, not only commuters, but also for air pollution. This package is something that is going to spread throughout the heavily polluted or heavily populated cities, and it is going to make a difference.
Okay, Mukul, what about the waste management and the burning practices that are there, particularly in North? So what do you have to say about that?
That's a very good question, because as the very word implies, the waste was managed. The terminology the municipal corporations use is waste management. They don't say waste disposal. Now, generally, what it meant was you look for a plot of land on the outskirts of the city where you dump your solid waste. It generates methane, that smell, and when the wind comes, wind blows, a lot of the particulate matter is strewn around. Now, Government of India has regulated this, saying that it has to be disposed, it has to be burnt. Of course, it has to be burnt under certain conditions, and you have to meet the guidelines. But the key issue is that fresh waste that is being generated is not to be taken to a waste management site. It is meant to be taken to an incinerator to be burnt. The problem that we are facing with waste management is the historical problem. And that is the problem of pollution in any country. You set up regulations, you identify a problem, and you regulate it for the future. You prohibit it, you regulate it, you ban it for the future. But what happens to the accumulated problems of the past? It takes longer. Now, around Delhi, that itself is being done in a time-bound manner. Other cities are also doing this in a time-bound manner. And this aspect is being monitored by the National Green Tribunal in a very regular, systematic manner. And the new situation that is now emerging, starting from Delhi, that it is being treated as a whole of government exercise and not just as a municipal exercise.
Now, don't you think green spaces and urban planning are extremely important to take care of the pollution levels, and therefore it is important to have public awareness and education along with regional cooperation?
See, there are two sides of this. One is what happens, as you said, the urban design issue. The urban design issue is something we have not taken care of in a big way so far, in the sense that the idea should not be to regulate vehicular movement, but to eliminate vehicular movement. There is the move in certain European countries like Netherlands to switch to bicycles, so you have bicycle tracks. Lucknow tried it. It did not work. Because we have not designed our cities in that manner, we still have zoning, residences, industrial, offices, commercial. Now, take the case of Manhattan. Manhattan, the residences, institutional, commercial are all mixed together. But what is most important is, the point that you just made, is that the public space is equal to half the area of Manhattan. The area left aside for roads, pavements and parks is half the total area of Manhattan. And the grid pattern facilitates a movement of transport and metros so that these complexes are accessible and you don't need to travel very far or walk or use the metro very far, because the zoning is such that residences, commercial institutions are all adjacent to each other. You have a university and a hospital next to the residential sector. You have these commercial banks and other buildings right there itself.
Okay.
Now that is going to take a large shift. But in the meanwhile, India is looking at this regional planning aspect of watershed, but there you come into the federal principle. Now, how do you override the division of powers between the national and the state governments? How do you tell Punjab not to allow burning of the stubble? Because it helps them locally, but has problems down the line for Delhi.
Okay.
It is difficult. You have to appeal to them.
Mukul, thank you for providing us a comprehensive overview of the air pollution situation in and around Delhi, its causes and the efforts being done to control and mitigate its impact on public health and the environment. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on rising air pollution and ways to curb it. The participants were Mukul Sanwal, environmentalist, and Rajesh Lake, anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official.